Do you believe that there is a war against Texas being waged by the EPA?
Well, let me say that I disagree with some of the EPA's rulings.
Specifically?
Well, I mean the whole fight that we have right now on some of the air quality issues and those kinds of things that are going on, and the non-attainment. I mean, there's a whole series of things that are going on. You know, the idea, you know, out where I live, there's a lizard in some sand dunes that, you know, is creating a little bit of a problem. I mean, there's such a thing as going overboard. But I will tell you that there's blame enough to go around. I mean, I don't blame it all on Democrats. I don't blame it all on Republicans. You know, frankly, Governor Perry found it in his political interest to pick a fight. And when you pick a fight, I learned that I shouldn't pick fights with people unless I know I can win. And the problem with the fight that
he hasn't lost yet.
Well, he's not winning either. And the problem is that the rest of us are getting caught in this crossfire. The industry in Texas and all sorts of other people are getting caught in this crossfire. I mean, it seems to me that the best way, you know, again, it's a question of trying to find a common ground, or a reasonable way to go forward, as opposed to beating people over the head publicly at a podium. I've never, you know, as a member of the House, you don't see me, I'm not one of the more vitriolic members that spouts off all of this rhetoric, because I have to walk into that room and negotiate a deal. And how can I negotiate a deal with somebody when I've been slapping them across the face every day?
I understand.
So,
all right, let me ask you about a couple more before we open it up for questions. This week, the Washington State Legislature legalized same-sex marriage. Also, the court in California declared the ban on same-sex marriage in California unconstitutional. Hardly can imagine a scenario in which same-sex marriage passes the legislature here, not under the current configuration, but as a general principle, if you're a member of Congress, this issue in some form or fashion may be before you. Where do you come down on this question?
I don't think it'll be before us. I think it's a state issue. It's a state by state.
You think it will remain a state issue?
I think it will remain a state issue, and I think that the state rightfully gets to make those determinations as to what happens. You know, as
does that mean you're not going to tell me what you think?
As a member of the legislature, I always wanted deference. I mean, I think what happens in Texas is what people in Texas want. I'm one of those who believes that the legislature really is a microcosm of Texas. I'll tell you.
But what's your vote on this issue, though?
I don't have a vote on this issue.
Come on. You have no position on this issue.
It's not an issue that's going to come before Congress.
So gay San Antonians in that 23rd Congressional District who want to know on an issue that is of consequence to them, they want to know, Representative Gallego, where do you stand on this? Your answer is, I have no position.
My answer to gay San Antonians or gay, is it Alpinites or
Marfins.
Or Marfins.
My favorite Marfin.
Would be that, you know, it's a state issue, and the member of the legislature, were I still a member of the legislature, then I would say, here's what I think, and here's what I think you should do, and here's how you should approach it. I mean, on a fundamental level, I don't really have an issue with who you live with or who you have a relationship with. The idea that you would call it a marriage, you know, you know, again, it's the Catholicism where the church has an issue with it. But fundamentally, I think people are people, and they're going to do what they want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Last one, you mentioned the Coleman issue, which is, of course, the other of the, you know, no, this is the big issue of the week, no, this is the big issue of the week, no, this is the Coleman issue is so 3 days ago at this point, I realize that. But obviously, the issue of the funding for Planned Parenthood has been an issue both at the national level and at the state level. What should the federal government's position be? You're a member of Congress. What should the government's position be on the funding of organizations like Planned Parenthood that provide women's health services and non-abortion reproductive services in addition to abortions?
I think you don't fund the abortion because that's such a controversial issue, but you fund everything else. And so the idea that
can you really do that practically?
I think you can.
Is the perception of funding Planned Parenthood, except for the part that we don't like, something that would fly with the vast majority of the population in this country or in that district?
I think that's essentially what we were doing over a period of time. I mean, I don't know that we've ever, it's been a while. since any state money or federal money has been used on abortion. You're using it to provide women's health services, and you're using it to provide women's health services to people who might not otherwise get it. There's nothing wrong, in my mind, with more health care and more access. The more people that you have giving it, the more opportunities there are for people who don't necessarily have a regular physician or who don't. And I think, frankly, our goal should be to make health care more affordable and more accessible to people. Health care is an issue for me that I'm kind of passionate about because it's a challenge to get in places like Valentine, Texas.
Well, the rural areas especially, right.
In places like Presidio. And so every time that you make a rule that knocks some people out, you're knocking some people out of the healthcare system. And the abortion issue aside, I mean, that's the fact is that it seems to me that you want to create a system where more people can participate, not fewer. And if there's something that they're doing that you don't like, then you say you cannot use this money for these purposes.